finally I landed the scholarship and everything that I wanted with UNC. Since you have so much of more freedom in the types of classes you want to take, it gives you a bit more autonomy on the things that you want to learn. So I think that was how my second year was really. How UNC specifically helped was they published the resume books to their networking sessions. They had a startup session that was specifically targeting the startups within the RTP area. They brought them out on like sort of a cocktail networking session. So like bingo party, games night, just drinking parties. See, there used to be a lot, everything that was going on every other weekend. Thank you, Nirvan. I would have gone to UNC if it wasn't for you. So I think you had played a much bigger role in me getting where I am.
Hello everyone, today we have with us Tisha Singh. Tisha is a graduate from the UNC Kenan-Flagler class of 24. She is currently working as an associate at Avant Energy. I hope I have pronounced it right.
Yes.
But I don't want to, take too much of the time right at the beginning to introduce Tisha. I'll leave that job to her. Tisha, if you can just walk us through your background pre-MBA and even post-MBA. What are you doing right now? What are your plans for the future? Just walk us through.
Thank you, Nirvan, for having me here. Hi, everyone. So my pre-MBA background was that I was working with UBS as a business analyst. I worked there for 3 years in their the Mumbai office. Before that, I did my undergrads from Birla Institute of Technology and Science. So I did it in electrical and electronics engineering, but I wasn't that fond of engineering. So I did a minor in finance as well. Because of the minor, I landed my job at UBS. What I worked over there was mostly related to like data, cloud migration and all those stuff, but it was pretty on the financial side. So I decided I wanted to get a more of a business outlook because if I wanted to progress through even within UBS, MBA was a requirement. So I started looking through schools. Nirvan helped a lot. And then finally, I landed the scholarship and everything that I wanted with UNC. My MBA, so UNC has a sort of like a concentration system within your MBA. So I did specialization in 4 things like corporate finance, entrepreneurship, consulting, as well as sustainable enterprise.
Wow, okay.
And because of the sustainable enterprise certificate, I landed my job in the Avant Energy. So they are a renewable energy consulting company, as well as development. So we do both. Like we're gonna sell like solar projects, wind projects to client, but help them build those projects as well. It's a really good. It's a niche space. I'm still learning a lot and a lot. Every day is a challenge for me right now, but it's really good. I'm right now in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is like the coldest state out there in US. So it's gonna be pretty. I'm excited for the winter that's gonna happen. But yeah.
Got it. This is going to be the first winter there for you in that state, I'm assuming.
Yes. Yeah.
Got it. I would love to hear more about that later. Okay, so I will take the conversation forward just in a very chronological order. We'll start first with your experience with the applications, then about your experience at UNC, and then finally a little bit about your job currently, what you're doing, and maybe a little bit about how you landed that job. Okay, so let's start with your reasons for doing an MBA. What propelled you to move in that direction? How did you start thinking about that?
So based on like my degree was very, I would say, analytical degree. So you wouldn't know much about finance. I did finance because I had like a minor in finance. But in general, when I was working in UBS, I realized that I know a lot of like from the coding stuff and everything, but I never really knew like what exactly is going to happen if this project, goes till development. What's the sort of the implication, not on my team, but like overall what happens at UBS, how the decisions are actually made. And to learn that, I was basically started a small education series within UBS to sort of understand like granularities of a lot of different departments. And that sort of gave me a direction that I should head for a higher studies. I was for a time bit confused between MBA and MS, but then I really wanted to understand business and not like just the software or the the hard skills, which is why I chose MBA instead of masters. And yeah, like my main reason was to more understand not just on the not just on the hard skills, but on the soft skills of actually talking to people, communicating the plans, making persuasive arguments about a project to the client or the company, whether they should focus on this project or not. So sort of those were my basic reasons for doing an MBA.
Got it, got it. And I think you applied in the class of, or in the batch of 2022, the intake of 2022,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
And how many schools did you apply to overall?
I think overall, I had applied to approximately 7 or 8
Mhm.
colleges. I got admits from UNC Kenan-Flagler, Foster, as well as Georgetown, and scholarships from Foster and UNC. I was waitlisted in Texas McCombs, but then I had already decided that I was gonna go for UNC, so that really didn't matter. But
Got it.
yeah.
Why did you choose UNC over Foster as well?
Um, I think for me it was mainly because Foster is was in Seattle. It's like the tech hub or the tech city in the US,
Mhm.
and 50% of their batch used to go in the tech industry. Since I was coming from a financial industry, I honestly wanted to work either in the same financial industry or actually switch to consulting, which was my major focus for my career post MBA. And based on that, I decided that Foster it would really help me in like landing a tech job, but maybe not so much as a consulting job. Which is why I went with UNC, given that they were basically open for all MBPs compared to a few schools where you might not have the chance of getting all MBBs in your like in person or the in sorry in university recruiting.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Sorry. Okay. Let's deep dive a little bit into the application process as well. I want to understand. I know it has been a while since you might have, even looked at your essays and the application. So I'll not really probe you a lot into that. But I want to understand if you have certain insights when people are looking to apply to UNC. What are they looking at as a school? What would really help in terms of their application and also a little bit in the interview phase as well.
I think the one thing that I realized during both my application as well as my interviews with all the other colleges as well, for UNC, it was more important to not really just show that you have done the work,
Hmm.
but show why did you do that work.
Okay.
It's very easy to say that I started off this let's say a mental health organization, or I started this education series, but
Hmm.
the why behind it is really important, like what made you do that step and why did it matter to you so much.
Got it.
For UNC, that really helped me both in my application as well as my interviews.
Hmm.
Like the one thing I would say is I knew what things that I've done in my life, but I never knew how to like say them out loud in a manner that made that conversation not really seem genuine, but also seem like more on a more on a level that could connect to the other person. Like even though it's my story, but what will make the other person seem curious or uh, curious to basically learn about what's going to happen in that story. So I think in that way, to actually structure those stories, Nirvan, you were a great help. um, I don't I knew what the story was, but you helped me find the right words, and you always ask the question like, okay, why do you want to write this, why did you do this exact step. And I think that really helped me sort of clarify a lot of things about myself,
Hmm.
and that's shown in the all of the essays as well as the interviews. For UNC, I think the one thing I would say is it's like a 30-minute interview session.
Okay.
It can be with your alumni, it can be with an AdCom member, and
Mhm.
it can be with like a third party admission member, which is not really affiliated to UNC, but they
Mhm.
still help with the interviews. So I had a third party interviewer,
Okay.
so they didn't know much about UNC as such. So like my two tips I would say is have questions that are related to UNC, but also a few questions that you can ask an interviewer that has nothing to do with UNC as well. Just keep
Okay.
those in your pocket as well, because it was honestly a shock when I was like, okay, so you are not related to UNC in any manner, and I had to come up with questions like in that like 5-second timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I would say is just be very genuine. Like my interview ended in like 20 minutes. And honestly, I was scared for a second because it was a 30-minute scheduled interview. But the point is, if you are able to convey your stories perfectly well, it doesn't matter if your interview finishes in 15, it doesn't matter if it takes like 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you are confident with your answers and whatever you're saying has sort of a why reason behind them,
Mm-hmm.
you shouldn't let that the interviewer ask you, okay, so why did you do that? Always include that why, maybe in a single line or a two line with all of your answers, so that they know exactly why you did it and how you did it. So yeah.
I think that's honestly a really great advice to include the why part with every reasoning, every career moves, or even any initiatives that you've started. I think that would really clarify your thought process to the interviewer and probably to the admissions team as well in the essays.
Well, yeah.
Okay, coming to now the part after the interview is done, right? So you got an admit and you received a scholarship as well. How did you go about that? Did you negotiate for scholarship or did you get it at the first go? How was that?
I did get it in the first go, but I did try to negotiate it for a better offer.
Hmm.
But since UNC did give me the best offer, it was not really possible. I think with negotiations, one advice I would give is you need to give them a data point. Like if you have gotten a scholarship which is similar or a higher amount compared to some other school, which is on a similar ranking to the current school that you're asking the scholarship from, that way at least the school knows that you have competing offers. But then you also have to tell them within your like the tuition or the scholarship application form,
Hmm.
why do you want to join this school? If you just give them the data point, then they'll be like, well, how are they going to benefit if they're going to give me like $10,000 or $20,000 extra in the scholarship, right?
Great.
So you have to tell them why this school matters to you more, and how this 10 or 20,000 of extra dollars of scholarship are really going to help you achieve your dreams in this particular school. I think those two things are really important if you're putting up like a tuition application, or sorry, a scholarship application.
Got it. And did you leverage your offer from the other school with UNC and vice versa as well? Did you do that?
Yes, I did that, but since UNC's offer was already like the highest one that I've gotten, so yeah, it didn't matter.
Got it. Got it. And any tips on how to manage the finances? I mean, scholarships aside, very few people do get that. Other than that, how did you go about, securing loans or maybe managing the overall finances of your stay there?
So I think for me, I wanted to do a higher studies was pretty clear once I graduated from BITS.
Okay.
So while I was working for 3 years, I ensured that I was saving like 50% and 60% of my salary every year in an RD or an FD phase,
Okay.
so that I have some funds for the whenever I go for a higher studies. So that
Okay.
was one of my savings. Um, it was my sort of an idea that I wanted to do MBA on my own, like
Mhm.
finances. So I didn't ask any finances from my dad, but there's a really good Prodigy Finances, which give you with basically loan without a commitment, right? Most in India, you will get the same loans like from HDFC, SBI, but they all have collateral agreements included, and they give like at 10 or 12%. When
Okay.
I was joining in, Prodigy gave me at like sort of like a 5% rate.
Wow.
Obviously, because of the economical conditions, it did went go and above. But the best about over here is that once you do graduate, you can easily refinance your loans at like a. So now I refinanced with Sophie, which is giving me at like 6%. But the point was, I did like my own savings, which was maybe 30% of the entire tuition amount. I had the scholarship, which was another 30%, and the rest I took the loan from Prodigy Finance, which was without collateral. So you can easily finance for both your first term and your second term. And uh, all you need to give them is like, if you have any savings, very good. If your admit letter, your scholarship letter, those all things go within their application, and you'll get the code like right there and then. So I really like that. If you have like a very small amount of scholarship,
Mhm.
so there's a Discover Finance. It is a US based loan company, which basically a federal loan.
Mm-hmm.
but they have like a amount difference. Like for some colleges, it's like you can only borrow $30,000 in a year. For some, it's 40,000. So it depends how much of a amount of loan that you want to actually apply to. So you have different like options that you can go about. But I went with Prodigy Finance. I took entire loan from them, and then I just refinanced my loan with Sophie for a very very cheap rate. So
Got it. With Discover, even Indian nationals can get the loan, or do you need a co-signer from yours?
yes, with Discover you can get it because you're in that way. Your college has already have some like connections with them, so
Okay.
they do for a small amount. They do let internationals as well take it.
Got it. Got it. I think you really planned it well in advance, Tisha. I mean, not very. I mean, I have honestly not met a lot of people who have planned that much in advance, but kudos to that. Okay.
But yeah, I think yeah. Sorry, Nirvan. Yes, go
No, no,
ahead.
please go ahead. Please go ahead. Complete your
No,
thoughts.
I was just gonna say that it doesn't matter if you plan. Like I knew that I wanted to higher studies, so I did start planning it way ahead. But the point is, if with scholarship with your like family, and by taking like the loans from Prodigy, you can easily get whatever amount that you want for your studies.
Mhm.
I know there's a big caveat on that is whether or not you get the job, right?
Right.
But the point is, the market right now is improving. So we are seeing a lot more companies hiring and everything. So with that, I do feel like an MBA would help you get the job. So your loan wouldn't be an issue. But then again, it is a risk. It's a high reward, high risk sort of degree. So yeah, it's all personal preferences of how people go about it.
Got it. Got it. No, definitely makes sense. But let's come to the part now that I'm most excited about, which is your experience at UNC. Tisha, walk us through what were you expecting before you landed there, right? And how was your experience probably in the first year? How did that entire year go through? I've heard from a lot of people that it's like a roller coaster ride, at least in the first year. How was that?
It is definitely a roller coaster, right? So for UNC, our semesters were sort of converted into like in a year we had four mods in which we used it was like 6 month type classes. 5 months you'll be actually doing classes, and the last 1 week is your exams, and then that repeats for 4 times, right? The first two mods are extremely hard just because you're doing like 5 6 classes.
Okay.
Along with that, your applications for recruiting are going on. You start doing coffee chats. You have hardly time to do anything, and you have to be very much included in the social activity as well. So it I think the most basic learning for me was time management. You learn time management in everything, but it's like you learn it in like an office setting. It's very different when you go in the academic setting.
Right.
And for MBA, it's not just an academic degree. It's like academic. It's a business degree, and it there is an extreme part of socials included within it. So all the networking sessions that you're meeting is gonna be like 2 to 3 hour longs on a daily basis once your recruiting starts. So you
Okay.
have to ensure that you're not just saving energy for your exams and your lectures, but you're also actually saving energy for your socials.
Mhm.
For me, I think it was a bit easier just because I knew a lot of the finance with my minor in finance degree. So it was easy for me to catch up on it. But there were like few courses like marketing and operations that I had no idea about. So it was good that a few of my friends were from that like specific professional background, so it was easy to sort of catch up on.
Mhm.
But I think for me, the first year of MBA, it was everything was new. You have to learn about like which classes you want to take. For UNC specifically, they really focus on your attendance, so I had to ensure that I was not missing any classes, from bits which has a zero attendance policy to UNC which has like you can only miss two classes in a mod for that particular course. That was like a total 180-degree shift to me as a person who has never attended classes in bits. So it was hard to do that, but I think at the same time it was more harder for me to sort of do coffee chats. So for me, classes were on the easier side of my MBA, but trying to talk to like strangers you have met for the first time, strike a conversation, keep that conversation flow going, and ensure that it's not boring for the other person or for you. I think that was the most intense part of my MBA. For me, the internship cycle was, it started off pretty good. I had like 10 or 11 interviews for consulting firms. I wasn't able to, exactly pass any of them. But I did land my internship with a marketing firm who were making like chemicals and all those things. So that was a pretty different internship, I would say. But in a sense, it really helped me sort of adjust to new work kind of things. I never assumed myself to be working in a marketing sort of a space. So it was a good learning curve. So when the second year came, when the market started improving slightly, started working again on my consulting because I knew I wanted to go into consulting. But this time I went with a niche area, which was renewable consulting instead of like the broad general MAP consultings, just because of the fact it was my own personal choice that I wanted to start in a smaller company, because in smaller company you get to make more meaningful connections with the people that you're working compared to in a large firm where sometimes you just become a number. So I chose and focused for my second year recruiting specifically like 100 to 500 sort of employee sort of companies. On energy sector doesn't have to be just renewable, but my focus was being part of a company that was in a sustainability kind of space. Avant
Okay.
was really a good choice, I would say. I'm still learning a lot in that, but the recruiting, I would say, was much more of a roller coaster ride than the actual academics of MBA.
Got it. And by recruiting, you mean the entire internship recruiting to your final job
Final
recruiting.
full time recruiting, yes.
Okay. And how was your second year different compared to your experience with your first year as such?
I think second year you become a bit more matured in terms of what classes you want to take. In
Hmm.
first year, for me, it was more about taking classes that I know I'm already good at, so I won't have to spend so much of time. And second year, I focused on taking classes that I knew nothing about. So for second year, I took like supply chain, entrepreneurship, venture capital. Those are all the things that I never knew anything about. And I was like, that I've already gone with the first year learning just about finance. So I wanted my second year to be something different. It wasn't, you don't have, like, the best part about MBA that I feel is there is no set amount of classes that you have to do like to get a job. Like nobody asks you, okay, if you did this course, then only you can take part or give interview for this firm, which is usually the case in your undergrad interviews.
Right.
But here, since you have so much of more freedom in the types of classes you want to take, it gives you a bit more autonomy on the things that you want to learn. So I think that was how my second year was really different. I loved my second year a lot more than I loved my first year, just because of the new things that I was doing. Like I did took a storytelling class.
Wow.
Um, I took an improv class, which in which you would do a skit in front of like a stage, and I have stage fright, so that was an amazing experience as well. So the point is, like, you have so many different sort of experiences that you get in MBA. It's just that sometimes you get so stuck behind the same cycle of, you want to get a job, you want to score the highest GPA, that you sometimes forget that this is the final sort of a leg. Before After that, you hardly would do any more academic programs or academic degrees. So you have to make the like the best of your MBA degree by doing things that you don't know much about, and you probably will not get the chance to learn more about. So
Got it. Really interesting journey that you've had, right, from your internship experience to even currently what you're doing. Tell us a little bit more about the student life at UNC. A little bit about, how did you spend your weekends? Did you even get time to probably go out and enjoy the weekends, or was it more
oh no,
academics?
that I we so UNC had Monday to Thursday sort of a curriculum. So you would have classes Monday to Thursday. On Thursday evening, you would have sort of like a casual. So we used to call Carolina casuals, in which there'll be like beers and seltzers for every, and all the professors, all the students, they'll be out there in the garden
Hmm.
and just talk, play
Okay.
games, talk about anything you want to talk about. There used to be like a band playing, and this used to happen like every Thursday.
Okay.
Um, Mostly, most of your socials are already planned by your MBA committee. So our Embasa committee used to prep like a lot of functions within. So like bingo party, games night, just drinking parties. See, there used to be a lot, everything that was going on every other weekend.
Hmm.
It's usually much more packed in your first two mods compared to like the second mod, because that's very interviews heavy. So everyone leaves like that. I would say the other part about the best part, or at least for me, the best part was actually taking part in a global immersion elective.
Okay.
So it usually happens in your vacation time, like either your spring vacation or your summer vacation.
Hmm.
You get to visit countries. Like I went to South Korea. A couple of friends of mine went to like Switzerland and Peru. So that is like, I would say, the best part about being in an MBA program in UNC specifically, because it was more about, yes, you're learning about that. For South Korea specifically, I learned about, so every GIE has a specific focus. My GIE in South Korea had a focus of sustainability. So
Okay.
we learned about the sustainability features of a few of the companies over there. But that was just the first 3 days of the trip. The next 4 days of the trip was having a port party with your friends, being in a temple, like the Koreans' actual temple, Buddhism temple. You go there, you live how they live, you eat exactly what they are eating, you sleep on the floors.
Hmm.
So it's a good part about learning a different culture altogether, and living in those spaces with them.
Hmm.
That was amazing. And then obviously the Holi party and the Diwali party are the best for international students, because they just don't make you feel that you're alone in a completely entire, a different continent.
Got it.
I think that was amazing for student life, I think. And plus, your roommates, your friends, your groups that you make. We used to do like potlucks in our like the uh, community housing, and so all the graduates used to live together in like 2 or 3 buildings combined. So that
Hmm.
was really amazing, because most of the internationals would live there. So every weekend, even if your embas or your MBA committee isn't doing anything, we used to have potluck, we used to have like Bollywood night parties. So that was a fun way to still stay sort of connected with your community members.
Got it. Really interesting, insights on student life at UNC. I also want to know, Tisha, a little bit about the location, because that is, I mean, we have heard a lot about the location of UNC and the research
Yeah.
triangle area and its proximity to other business schools as well. Can you walk us through how important is that, or does it really matter? Is location that important for recruitment opportunities or for networking as such?
I think location depends on the kind of environment you would want in your MBA. Like for
Mhm.
me specifically, I didn't want to go in the big city MBAs, because there everyone within your MBA program has friends in the city who have nothing to do with your MBA program, and everyone's busy. Their weekends are busy with their family members or someone else. But when you go in a smaller city MBA program, such as Chapel Hill for
Mhm.
UNC, mostly people are actually traveling there from other different places, so they don't have anyone to actually hang out with during the weekends. So you
Mhm.
end up hanging out with your own MBA people.
Right.
So you get to learn a lot more about your classmates, right?
Mhm.
That was the best part, or the main reason that I wanted to go for UNC.
Mhm.
Regarding the research triangle, I would say that my friends experienced it a lot more than I did.
Mhm.
So when we were recruiting, there are a lot more startups in the RTP area, which is the research triangle area, than there are like big companies. So you do
Okay.
have a lot of companies in the Raleigh area, but there's a lot more booming startups. So
Okay.
when people were looking like the both 2022, 2023 year were really bad in terms of the recruiting phase that was happening in because the market was down, the economy was doing really bad. So the only people that were hiring were startups.
Okay.
So all of my friends basically ended up in one or the other startup. Even though they started off as an internship, they were able to convert that internship into a full-time job role, and they actually switched to those startups. So I would say it's a booming area in terms of healthcare startups, like tech startups, anything that you want from there. But there's also like big offices like BCG's offices there, EY offices there, like a lot more. Obviously, I don't know every one of them, but I think the best part about UNC was having Duke very close to UNC. So
Okay.
I had a lot of friends in Duke, so it was always able to sort of get together during their gaming like game events, during our game events. And UNC and Duke has both like a huge basketball rivalry, which was
Okay.
also very fun. But I think the best part about having a different school with you is that you get to prepare with those students as well, which is the best thing. It's very hard if you are in a, like, because we are all prepping for consulting, so all the I would say the networking sessions, most of the time those networking sessions would get combined,
Okay.
right? So you're meeting with different people from the Duke University as well. You can get your casing partners from that university, and since you are like, we were legit like 30 minutes away, both the campuses, so it was easy to maintain those friendships, not just for recruiting but also actually take it forward, and see how it goes. So it doesn't really have to be that you have to be within the sphere of your own MBA program, but you actually can go out and explore the other people that are there within. Because I landed my job at a one from a different, from a friend of mine who was doing her MBA in Kellogg. So it's it's always good to have friendships and close networks in other business schools. So it's always a pro for me.
Got it. Got it. Now I've heard a lot about how both schools, Duke and UNC, benefit from being so close to each other. But it's nice to know that in action as well.
Yep.
Tisha, I want to move to the current economic situation now. I've seen you mentioning a couple of times that the situation is improving. When we sit here in India and we look at stats, right, we see 85% people getting placed, 82% people getting placed, even in the M7s in US.
Yes.
So what's really going on? What happened with UNC, and what, in your opinion, is really going on right
I think everyone, honestly, I really feel that with once the COVID ended, everyone thought that it was a booming phase, and
now?
they just hired so many people, thinking that the economy will like continue the same rise, but
Right.
it's sort of got standstill. I would say it is still recovering. It hasn't recovered yet, which is why you can see a lot of the people from or the MBA batches that passed out in both 2023 and 2024. A lot of people are still looking for jobs just because of that.
Okay.
Um, that being said, it is improving. Like I said, a lot of people like Amazon is hiring a lot more like I think a few of my friends got into Walmart and all those places. So they're still hiring. It hasn't picked up the same pace that it was in 2021.
Okay.
um, but I would say that by the time, like, for people who are going to go into the college for 2025 year and going to pass out in like 2027 or graduate in 2027, the economy would have like honestly gone to a much better point than it is right now. But I would say right now it's at a speculation phase, just because with the election going and everything, honestly it's a bit dicey. But it's definitely not going in the negative, which is honestly the best news. I remember when I graduated, there were approximately, I think, 50 to 60 people in my class who had not placed, and in the last 3 months, more than 60% of them have gotten their full-time jobs.
Okay.
So it's definitely on the rise, but it's not quite there as much as we want. We want that 99, 95% sort of expectation that you will get placed. It's still not there. It's slowly going at least over 90, but it's still taking a lot of time. And for international specifically, it's the one advice I would say is just don't assume that just because you're in a college, that college guarantees you a job placement,
Right.
right? They're going to help you with the resources. Yes. They will tell you what you need to do, but at the end of the day, the legwork, everything you have to do by yourself.
Mhm.
Like for me specifically, when I knew that it's really difficult to get a job, I started contacting my friends, who were there in other universities, because most of the time companies hire within their regional spaces, right? So if I am in North Carolina, I can get to companies that are hiring till like Atlanta or maybe New York area, but I won't get the same companies who are hiring maybe in the Midwest, right, or on the West Coast. So it was really helpful for me to keep those connections alive with my friends who are in other MBA colleges, and keep asking them for companies that are showing up on their application portal, and keep applying there. The other thing I would say is, for UNC specifically, I would say uh, after COVID, it was a big boom for the international students who were joining the MBA program. And
Mhm.
I think that a lot of universities sort of didn't realize that this transition is going to take a lot more effort from their side in getting firms that actually, do hire internationals. And I
Mhm.
think there was a bit of gap between uh, getting the exact amount of firms that will hire the international as much as the internationals that they had hired in their current MBA term. So I think that gap, I think all the universities are sort of had struggled, because not only just that the economy went bad, a lot of firms that used to hire or used to sponsor internationals, they backed out as well.
Okay.
So it got really tough. I remember I had interviews from Simon Kucher and a couple of others that rescinded their interview offers just because they changed their sponsorship policy at the last minute.
Okay.
So things do happen. You have to be sort of ready for all these kind of obstacles. Um, my main would be, just don't keep it inside. You have to keep connecting with people, you have to keep talking with people, even though sometimes it feels it's fruitless. But
Mhm.
it's not fruitless, it's just that you get the reward a lot later, than you would have gotten if the all the economic conditions were stable.
Got it. And how much help did UNC gave the students during campus as well? But you mentioned 50, 60 people did not get placed. So did the help from UNC continue even after you graduated?
Yes, so they UNC has a resume book sort of a thing. I think most schools have that. So they publish those resume books to their network, saying that these are the unplaced students. You get one-on-one coaching. I think that's true for all the other campuses as well, for any other MBA school.
Mhm.
But how UNC specifically helped was, they published the resume books to their networking sessions. They had a startup session that was specifically targeting the startups within the RTP area. They brought them out on like sort of a cocktail networking session sort of thing, where all the people who are still not placed were invited, all those students, so that they could form the connections, they could start the conversation going from there for an interview chance or for a full-time position. I think that was really helpful, because a lot of people did got their full-time roles and offers through that startup area. So I think that's a good way to help. The other thing that they always kept saying was that you need to keep talking to people. Like,
Mhm.
you need to keep on sharing that what kind of roles that you're looking at. So when I was looking for my internship, I reached out to my career coach, Rachel White, who was the head, I think, the recruiting coach over at UNC. And I
Mhm.
told her that I'm looking for like, sustainability roles specifically. And these are the firms that I'm applying to. I went, I got my resume triple checked for sustainability specifically, because again, you have to tailor your resume to the sort of role that you're applying. Consulting would have a different resume, sustainability would have a different resume. So I ensured that my resume catered to those points. And then she helped me actually get 2 to 3 interviews within the sustainability space, because I had reached out to him. Now, obviously the point is, nobody will know if you need help until unless you actually ask for them help. There
Mhm.
was a time between my interviews when I was honestly very devastated with all the rejections that I was getting, and I sort of just stop talking with anyone. And
Okay.
I think that was a mistake on my part because I should not have stopped. There, I wasted sort of 1 month of my time. And then when I backed up, started working on my resume again, started doing everything again. So obviously it took time. I got my internship in May of 2023, started working from June 2023. But the
Mhm.
point was it would have been much better if I, didn't stop talking with people. So I think that would be my learning that things do get hard, you will feel everything is going your way and then suddenly it's going to crash down. But the most important thing in that is ensuring that you keep talking to your friends, you keep talking to your family, you keep talking to your career coaches that are there in your MBA program. Doesn't have to be, whether it's UNC, whether it's any other MBA program, but you as an international student have to sort of tell them that this is the difficulty you're facing. Not everyone is aware of what goes through or what an international student goes through. It's not going to be exactly the same as domestic people.
Mhm.
And uh, so unless you say that this is the specific issue that I'm facing, people will not understand that, right? And it's not their fault as well, because they did not go through the entire. They don't know what it's like to be an international student, sort of in USA. So you
Mhm.
have to be very particular in ensuring that you actually say that out loud. And then everyone is there to help you. Like they're gonna help you with setting up the mock interviews. We had behavioral mock interviews with one-on-one with alumni, with like the current second MBA students.
Wow.
But
Okay.
those things, well, you will only get them when you actually ask for them, right? So
Got it. No, I think one of the big takeaways for me from this session is, when we are planning for an MBA, we hear a lot of chatter on that networking is really important, right? And honestly, I don't believe 90% of us really know what networking means unless you land in your MBA program. I think you've really sort of surmised it well in terms of how you need to really reach out to your network, have coffee chats, connect with people from different schools, your network, maybe reach out to your past network as well to get that, push that you need to land that
yeah.
job. One other question that I have over here is regarding the internship that you had. So you mentioned that you were in a very different sort of a role in your internship, and then you landed a different job, post your MBA as well. So how important is the internship overall to get your post MBA job, or is that okay if you don't have the same sort of
See, it doesn't matter what sort of an internship you have. It can be, so my internship was basically doing customer service for their new sustainability chemical product, like a
thing?
painting product, and see where it lies on the customer's mind on the sustainability set. Now, when I say it out loud, it feels like it's really nothing, right?
Right.
But my takeaway was that when you're taking customer service, you're actually having one-on-one conversations, right? So those conversations, how you talk with them, how you made them feel comfortable enough so that actually they can speak their mind instead
Mhm.
of just saying, yeah, this product is really good, right? So those were my takeaways that I told during my full-time interviews, that these are the things that I learned from my internship. It does, your internship can be a very small project or it can be with a very big brand name,
Mhm.
but if you didn't learn anything from that internship, then it becomes useless. As long as you have something meaningful to add into your skill set,
Mhm.
things that you learned about either about yourself or something that's going to help you in your full-time career. So for me, within the sustainability space, because I was looking for a sustainability career, my main takeaways from my internship was like, I understood how to talk to customers, like what questions should I ask them so I get a detailed response instead of a yes or no. Now these are really important when you're going in consulting, because at the end of the day in consulting also you're talking to people, you're talking to clients. So that was a really good thing. The second good thing, I was like, I knew nothing about sustainability. So even though this was a traditional or a not so much of a consulting or a sustainability space, but since the product that I was asking about was a sustainable chemical product, I get to understand what makes it sustainable, right? Or how do I actually convey its sustainability features to the customer's mind? So it's
Mhm.
now more about persuasion, right? So now this is another skill that is really important in consulting when you're trying to persuade the clients that this is the option that they should go with.
Right.
So it's not, you need to identify the skills that you learned
Mm-hmm.
and how those skills sort of translate to the actual job that you're applying to and how it will help you sort of excel in that job. Then what brand or of the company you did the internship with no longer matter, because now you can tell them that these are the skills I learned and this is how I'm going to apply them in my new future role. So for me, I would say it doesn't matter
Mm-hmm.
as long as you actually learn something from your internship.
Makes sense. Definitely makes sense as such, Tisha. Okay. Did UNC also have any particular leaning towards any, or does it have any leaning towards, let's say, for example, consulting or maybe sustainability or maybe healthcare? Do you
So
follow
there,
this?
UNC is really known for their real estate and healthcare program. Though they're pretty much on a similar level with consulting, finance, as well as tech. So for me, I wanted a sort of a balanced school,
Mm-hmm.
which is why I went for UNC. But there are a lot of other schools that cater to one specific area, like Foster caters to a lot more tech area compared to consulting and those. So I wanted to be in a school that had like on an average, on a very same basic level, all fields, both finance, consulting, and tech. So
Got it. Got it. I think I have taken too much of your time, Tisha, today. Guys, if you have, if you're listening, if you have any questions, please chat in right now, and I think Tisha can help. But Tisha, my final question to you is, what's next for you? I know you've started with Avant. I know you're enjoying that role. Are you planning something next? Are you really excited about something? Please walk us through your, next steps as such. Any plans you have for your future?
No plans as of now. I really want to understand the readable space right now. Like, this is a very new space, and the laws are really changing within this particular industry. But it's a very booming industry because everyone has their 2040, 2050 goals coming up, regardless of whichever company they might belong to. So
Right.
I think it's booming a lot. For me specifically, I would definitely want to move out of this city, particularly just because I'm not a winter person.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing is for sure, I still want to be within the renewable energy space. I love Avant. It's a small company where everyone actually, like, people actually ask you, how did your day went? What did you eat? Right? I'm not used to being in that sort of an environment. So really like the Midwest environment, but though I would definitely want to move away from the winter part of it. But yeah,
Got it. Got it. Tisha, thank you so much. I have really loved chatting with you and catching up with you. I remember the sort of energy you used to bring to our sessions, even when we work together, and I can see the same energy even today. I really love this. But again, thank you so much for taking the time out and giving me. I think it's been more than 45 minutes now, but giving me the time of the day to have this session.
thank you, Nirvan. I would have gone to UNC if it wasn't for you. So I think you had played a much bigger role in me getting where I am. And it was really fun to talk to you with you. And to anyone who's actually, going to apply to UNC, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn and I'll try my help to, answer all the questions and any doubts that you guys might have. So
Got it. Got it. Perfect. Thank you so much, Tisha. Have a lovely day and take care.
thank you, Nirvan. Good night. See you
Good night.
guys. Bye bye.